find that hard to believe out of
okay, so just look up it's Delta. Just give me a flight number.
And I find it hard to believe that we've gone live while we're talking about trying to get Chris a flight out of the apparently remote Northeast.
That's Tracy's way of trying to get this thing under control.
It's DL2964.
And for people who are joining us, what we're trying to do is figure out, can we get to Lake Michigan this fall? 3 of us to do a Great Lakes on the Air activation. Just a thought. Okay, I guess it's time to kick it off. We have a couple of guys who've joined us so far. We got VE3PCP and Philip KA4 KOE.
That's another dude. That's another dude we should get up there and take him for a dip in a nice cold lake.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd like to bring him up in February. Oh, then he can, he get a little bit of a taste of, what winter really is like.
It's hot down here. It's hot. I'm not going outside. Let's go outside in July, play with antennas. It's hot.
Okay, let's kick this thing off properly then. Thank you very much for joining us. Whether you're joining us live or after the event, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. It's a pleasure to have you here. And by the way, if you're live with us, please leave a comment. Let us know where you're reaching in from, what state or province or what DX country you happen to be coming into. And tonight, by the way, we've done this live stream for 3 and a bit years now, doing once a month. It's kind of sad and a little bit heartbreaking for me to give you the news that one of our regular co-hosts will no longer be able to join us. So Chris Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo will no longer be able to join us. However, Dr. Chris Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo is our new co-host. Chris, you've got some exciting news. Why don't you share that?
Do I have to change my my little thing there and put the DR in front of it? So yes, I think I've talked about it a couple of times here on the on our stream, and I was working on a doctorate in basically in Bible and theology, and it's a 4-year journey, a year of coursework, a year of different academic presentations I had to do, and then the last 2 years was the dissertation. So and I got the word last Monday that the dissertation was accepted, and then the next email came in from the lady at the seminary that runs all the graduation stuff, and big bold letters, congratulations, Dr. Bauer. And then about a half hour, 45 minutes after that, I heard from the registrar looking for their $250 degree awarding fee. And then also asked me how I want my name spelled on the diploma. So when I heard that, I said, I guess it's done. So the diploma's in process and the graduation's in August. So awesome. It's good to be finished. It's good to be done with it.
Congratulations.
It's really weird. For my church emails, since we're a congregational church in New England, they're very traditional. So they always, right out of the gate, they plant me. I said, oh no, you're Reverend, Chris Bauer. I was like, oh great. So so on my email signature, I had Rev, but now I had to add, Rev Doctor. I was like, so it's Rev DR, Oh
geez.
I want to know what revision it is.
That's right. Exactly. I'm a revisionist. That's right. Oh,
gosh, he thought he was
the way before. So Tracy, the way you mentioned it tonight, one of our elders at the end of service on Sunday did the same thing. He got up very end of service and he says, by the way, folks, I want to let everybody know that Mr. Bauer will no longer be our pastor. And everyone looked like. So from now on, and so when he said it, everybody clapped, and then I looked at him. I said, "And it's Reverend Doctor to you. Don't you forget."
That's just fantastic news, Chris. Thanks for sharing it.
Good to be done.
He's gonna start wearing his robes.
Yeah,
okay. I've got it. I've got the little tam hat, and I've got the robe. So
that's going to come with some additional benefits, of course. And the key benefit that I'm looking forward to is more time for the good doctor to be producing content on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, you got that right.
Well, you're not ABD'd or anything. You've got the whole bit, right?
What's that?
You've done the dissertation. You've got
it's all done. All
What was it? Was it like Leviticus or something? You did the.
I did it on. No, I did the. If anyone wants to get some good material to help you sleep, let me know. I can send you the dissertation to read. It's 185 pages plus the bibliography. No, what I did was I looked at the. I examined the apocryphal books, which are like the.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Right. And I showed how they influenced Paul, James, and John in their writings in the New Testament. So that's what it was.
Very cool. Chris, of course, is the proprietor of Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo Radio. If you haven't been over to his channel, please get over there, watch some videos, like and subscribe. Help him out as he's climbing towards that 6K mark.
Yeah, we're closing in on it. Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're getting there. I'm sure some of you that do follow my channel finally saw that I finally got something up. And it was actually a follow-up from my New Year's resolutions video. I was like, hey, I was going to, one of the resolutions was clean up the shack. So what I did was clean up all the outside cables. So something I've been meaning to do for a while and done.
Fantastic. No, it was worthwhile watch. Get over there and watch it, everybody. Hey, we all have, there used to be, do you guys remember QST back in the day? They used to run, I think it was an annual messy shack contest, and they had photos of just ridiculous shacks from all over the US. It was awesome. It was just incredible. I'm going to have to do some digging on that and maybe show
you mine. It would beat them all.
Oh, you have no idea.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, N9SAB, what's going on over your way, sir?
Well, since Philip brought it up, it's my wife and I's anniversary. It was the 17th. So we're going out this weekend to celebrate our
happy anniversary.
So there won't be any antennas this weekend.
So sorry, how many years? It's okay. You don't have to tell. It's in the double digits, I'm guessing.
30.
Okay, and you're still talking to one another?
In the morning, from time to time.
She hasn't kicked it to the curb yet. That's a good sign.
No, well, let me tell. I'm going to do the kicking. Okay. No. So
all right,
and of course we've got some new stuff there. You guys got your new antennas.
Oh, I'm gonna show off mine in a little bit here.
Excellent.
And absolutely.
There's some other new stuff coming too. In fact, this afternoon. So long time ago, another ham and I switched radios, and his radio came with he had done something to it. I don't know. I don't remember the story. He can tell it if he wants. But apparently it needed a board swap. So after, I think it's been about a year, I finally picked it up today and decided to work on the board swap. So 2 hours before the stream. So now my workbench has like little screws and ribbon cables and all kinds of stuff stretched all over it. But we'll see how it goes.
All right, good stuff. And let me just see if I can.
It's the I can never remember. I always call it like the FG-2000 or something like that, but it's the little Chinese metal box one. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Sorry, run that by me again? I'm trying to tee up something here for the next bit.
It's the hold on. I got it. FX4CR. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Oh yes.
Didn't Philip have one of those?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he broke it.
Oh. Well, he was just torture testing it, I guess.
I hate when that happens.
All right. So we got some new antennas. Chris and I are going to show ours off in just a few minutes. Well, just a little bit down the line here. And as far as anything else going on your way, we should touch on, Tim, before we move on to the next thing.
No, go.
All right, hang on just a sec.
We got a busy month.
Oh my goodness, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to get through.
Ham radio month here coming up.
So first thing I want to share, because we're all pretty excited about this. Next month, July, Ray Novak of ICOM has agreed to join us.
Yes.
And he is going to be talking to us about apparently, and I've got to do some more information. Some more digging. He's given us some information. He gets involved with the Oshkosh Air Show special event station.
Oh yeah.
And he wants to talk about that. And the floor is going to be his. So you got ICOM fans out there. Come back. Make sure you come back in July. Join us for that one. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
You know, the planes for that fly over my house,
Do they really?
like going to and from. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then
Oh,
the Chicago Air Show does the same thing.
Oh, geez.
So they get they fly along the lakeshore,
Yeah.
right? So you get the A-10s and the B-17s or whatever that fly like right about
Oh,
loud.
how do your windows react? I'm thinking they must do a little.
They vibrate a little. You know, it's only one day. It's in August sometime.
All right.
In August, aren't they?
I had so this was interesting. A few weeks back, we had the Canadian Air Force fly over our neighborhood. Now, all those ducks, those geese, they tend to fly in this V formation, right? And they make this honk, 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 honk noise as they go. That was good.
Oh,
Enjoyed
okay.
that a lot. Yeah, we've got a little bit different flavor up here, but actually, I'm making a joke, of course. But Rob VE3PCP, he has some information to share on Trillium Venture and the Canadian military and the other militaries that were participating in that. I've got some photos. I hope we get to later on. I just wanted to say hi. We've got some cool people in the audience tonight. Everybody in the audience is cool. Uwe from Germany. DL6AAF. Hey, Uwe, thanks for joining us. And it's late over there, my friend. Thanks for coming in
early.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true too, isn't it? Let me see. There was Shane, Scout 75. Hey, Shane, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on board. Mike N2MAK. We've got the who's who of YouTube on with us tonight.
That's cool. Mike's here.
Very cool.
Don't they have a show tonight? Don't they do theirs tonight too?
I don't know.
I think they did some premieres or something like that. The kids' table, or the round table, or the.
I think Mike tends to do premieres on Thursday nights.
I knew. Yeah, I knew he slotted his stuff in right when we were doing ours.
Yeah. The dirty dog, but I still like him.
There's always one.
What are you gonna do?
All right. Yeah, exactly. What are we gonna do?
Oh, okay. So Chris isn't studying anymore, right?
Right.
That's it. Exactly.
So we can change nights now.
Well,
yeah, well, it's up to you. I mean, Mondays.
Do we want to change nights?
Just saying, there's a lot of ham radio stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Like we switched. We tried the Monday thing. That didn't work out.
Yeah, and Wednesdays don't usually work for me.
Okay. Well, something to think about.
Okay. Well, that's
a tough slot. It's a tough slot when you're up against Seinfeld and Monday Night Football and all that stuff.
Exactly.
The ratings challenge.
So I have to tell you a funny story. I used to, on my harmonica channel, I used to do Sunday night live streams, right? During COVID, especially, just to provide music for folks, right? And can I tell you that Sunday nights, right? I did it on Super Bowl Sunday. I used to go on at 7:00 at night, go 7 to 9, right? Super Bowl Sunday. And I was like, is anybody on? Anybody watching me?
You didn't get a little feedback on the screen saying how many might have been there?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, nothing.
Okay. All right. Guys, let's get into this a little bit. So we have 3 topics that I want to dive into tonight. And I want to start off with the Dayton Hamvention, because that's the oldest first. And I didn't know we had Eric from Farpoint Farms on last month. And that was a fascinating discussion, but we didn't get a chance to talk about Dayton. I mean, that one was actually pushed a week due to me being in Dayton. So I wanted to sort of give sort of my overview on what Dayton was like for me, and I'm hoping that anybody else that's watching right now that can comment, let me know whether or not you were in Dayton and if you had an opportunity to take part in it. And I'll just preface this by saying that Dayton is this year has been a tough year for me. It has been it's been a slog. Had to replace a furnace in January, found out we need a new roof in March. Had a death in the family a couple of months ago. had our best friends death in their family. My wife was involved in a car accident. Fortunately, she's fine. Lots going on, and on top of everything else, I don't know what it is. I'm an outdoors guy, but I'll tell you what, the cold weather really got to me this winter, and I've been feeling sluggish for a long while. I normally get out and do long walks every morning, and I sort of didn't do that while the weather was cold. Really sucked my energy. So I'm still fighting my way out of that. Okay, but all that to say that when I went down to Dayton, I wasn't at a high energy level, and we didn't even know for sure that we were going until the 11th hour, because my friend Randy VE30ZR, who went with us, it was his mother-in-law that was on the verge of passing away. She ended up passing away after we returned, but there was that real situation. So lots going on. But I will say this about Dayton: even though I wasn't at 100% capacity for it, man, what a tremendous experience. I strongly recommend anybody, any ham operator, if you have the chance to go to Dayton, get yourself down there. You won't see anything like it anywhere else. It's incredible. And I did have a good time in spite of it.
Did you get the pork chop sandwich?
I did not get a pork chop sandwich.
It's kind of like de rigueur, though, isn't it?
Well, it was, but that was the kind of trip it was for me. I didn't get to do a bunch of things that I was hoping to do, but I did get to meet some really cool folks. And now when I say meet, so this is Ape from the Coffee and Ham Radios gang, Smoking Ape YouTube channel.
Yep.
Ape's a good guy.
Yes, he is. Very smart.
I saw him at the vendor night, the QRP vendor night, which was the Thursday night. We had just rolled into town, picked up our I actually have a media pass. Look, get this, a media pass. What the heck? From Dayton.
Wow.
But that vendor night was awesome because it seemed like everybody was there, and you got to sit. Now, I made a critical error, because everybody I saw there, I said, listen, we're going to link up later on and we'll spend some time and chat. And Ape was at the Coffee and Ham Radios table, and they were selling their antenna stuff. They're busy as heck. I being a polite Canadian, I did not want to take away from their opportunity to make some money on this thing. So it was like a quick hi and bye. Said, hey, I'll catch up with you later, which was an honest intent on my part. Turned out to be a critical mistake, because Dayton is so vast. You just don't see people typically twice. Next guy up, look at this fine looking gentleman right here. Well, we know this guy. Great to see Mike, N2MAK there. Mike,
you guys look related.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So Mike and I had a quick chat. Same deal. It's like, Mike, we're going to catch up later, and we'll spend some time together. Never happened. That's on me, not on anybody else. Look at this guy, this fine looking young gentleman here. This is Rob, N1NUG, 740, right?
741, right. Yep.
Yeah, 741. I saw him a couple times, vendor night, and he was there all alone. Rob, if you happen to be watching this, I should have grabbed you by the throat there and said, we're going to walk up and down a couple of aisles together and see what we see. Instead, we just sort of said hi on that Saturday morning and went our separate ways. But nice guy there. Flew in, it's because he flew and took a plane. He couldn't take anything home with him.
Right.
So he couldn't buy anything. And there were, and these are the 3 photos that I have from Hamvention, and I met a whole bunch of other people. I saw a whole bunch of other people. Mike K8 MRD was there. There were a bunch of other guys. By the way, oh my gosh, Vince, VE6. I'm messing up his call sign. LK, I think it is. He has agreed. I said, hey, Vince, will you join us on an upcoming live stream? He said yes. So I've got to reach out to Vince, and we're going to set that up. Vince is a really interesting guy. Another guy that I met that said, yeah, I'll come on your stream is John Kruk from Yaesu. So we're going to schedule John up. I'll reach out to him, and we're going to schedule him up.
Baseball player.
I don't know.
Did he used to play for, like, the Phillies?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he's a lot more famous than I
ARRL, right?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that was the deal there. Now at
yeah. He was a first baseman for the Phillies.
No joke.
Yep. I don't know the same guy.
So Dayton is basically separated out into two distinct types of things. You've got the indoor vendors, and then you've got what they call the boneyard. This is the tailgate section. So always an interesting thing. I didn't take nearly enough photos. I really should have done that. I took a few photos of things that caught my eye. So here is, does anybody recognize this?
That's the camo radio.
Well, that's a good guess.
The multicam.
Yeah, you want to get any more specific?
That's the multicam radio.
That is an ICOM 7200. So you may or may not remember some vendors were customizing them because it did have that military. It wasn't mil spec, but it did have that military. I actually owned one of these for a while. I actually sold it to buy my FT817. And I liked that 7200 a whole lot, but that 817 turned me around completely. I'd never owned a QRP radio. I had to dedicate everything I was doing to QRP after selling the 7200 because I didn't have a 100-watt radio after that. I used the funds to buy the 817. Now take a look here. This is kind of indicative of what I saw walking up and down the aisles at Dayton. $750. Now that's a lot of money. I mean, it looks in really good shape, but that's a lot of money for a rig which is close to 20 years old now, I'm guessing. Right?
Yeah,
How about no?
Good point.
And
50.
Okay, maybe. It's an old radio. It's certainly a dated radio. Hey, is it a good radio? Absolutely it is. But $750.
That's a lot of money.
I think it is. And this is what I kept seeing everywhere I looked was high prices, like really high prices, and rather than, from what I remember from years gone by, where you could find some good deals on stuff just because, it might be a little bit obscure, might be a little bit dated. People don't want the older stuff. It seems like everything's just sort of gone up in price.
Yeah, but this one's camo.
Well, it is. Yeah. Not going to argue that with you. It's digital camo too, by the way, for those who know the camo.
It makes me wonder. Look, I got an FTDX-3000 sitting here, right? And I got it when it first came out. So it's got some years, right? But it's in great shape. Thing work is a beautiful radio, right? I've seen them like on there's a bulletin board with, it's not QRZ. I forget which website it's with, but I've seen them going on there. They've just started dropping below $1,000. So think of this. So you pay $750 for that, or for another $250, you get an FTDX-3000.
Yeah.
So you're right. Those prices are pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Now, that sort of leads me into my next thought, which is that if you really want to get a hot smoking deal at one of these types of events, you have to get there early.
Yep.
You have to get there almost as soon as people are setting up and quickly walk up and down the aisles, know what you're looking for, know how much you want to pay, and then grab it.
Really?
Because
I would adopt a completely different strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would wait till the last day, an hour or two before everybody starts packing up, and just start, throwing lowball cash offers so they don't have to take it home.
But it depends on if it's like to Tracy's point, if it's a hot thing that you may not, it'll be gone. So like what you'll find at the end are like the stuff that everybody's kind of picked through, and you're like, oh, all right. And the guy, yeah, you'll get it if it's something you're looking for, you'll get a great deal on it at the end.
Why do I have to have the hot thing?
Oh yeah, that
Well,
was
that's
great.
you, but there are
Well,
others.
I'm just saying. I mean, does the guy on the other end of the signal? Can he hear? You got the hot. Oh, wow, your signal. You must have the hot thing. So you paid double for that at Dayton. No, no.
So here's an interesting thing I heard while I was down there. I can't vouch for it, but I was told that a big problem for the Dayton organizers there is people bringing all this junk out, trying to sell it. If it doesn't sell, they get in their cars and they leave it all there.
Really?
Yeah. And now it's up to the Dayton organizers to get rid of all this stuff.
Oh,
Like what? I wonder.
Well, I mean, anything that didn't sell that's cheap that they had sitting in their basements for God knows how long, and nobody seems to want it. Well, I'm just going to let somebody else do it.
You know what you do is you buy a bunch of 12 by 12 cube boxes or something, and you just start throwing stuff in there and put it on eBay for like a grab bag. Then what you get is what you get, $20 plus shipping.
Yeah.
And you never know. You might pull out the D106 or something.
Yeah, true.
That nobody bought.
Yeah. Here is just moving along a little bit. Here's my buddy Randy VE3OZR. Good guy. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have made the trip without him, because my other two pals that were maybe kind of going to go, they kind of bailed out on me. But I get it. You know, they're my friends, so I let things slide.
You know, you can't count on anyone these days. You just can't.
That's true. So here's my buddy Randy. He's a war buff. He never served, but he's a war buff, very interested in military history and all the rest of it. And here he is. So
a particular war?
Sorry?
A particular war or just wars in general?
World War II, you know, because he was big into GI Joes when we were kids. We used to take. Do you remember those? Do you guys have those baskets that apples used to come in? They were like cardboard and they were sort of oblong shape, and they had a wooden handle across the top,
and it comes in a basket. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so he would take his family had a clothesline in the backyard, and he had some GI Joes with parachutes, and we would stick a couple of GI Joes in one of these, clothespin it to the clothesline, put it out in the middle, and then start shaking the clothesline so that the GI Joes would fall out. Inevitably, the parachutes would not open, and
so you're like reenacting like Market Garden, right? You just all these little dudes parachuting in.
Yeah. Anyway, so here he is holding one of these. I think he mentioned this one's from the Korean War, and because he knows it. And this thing was literally falling apart in his hands. But that's the kind of cool stuff that you do see down there. By the way, last year or 2 years ago when I went, I blamed my buddy Tim because he cost me a lot of money. You know, Chris keeps blaming me for costing him money, and I guess we can talk about that in a bit. But Tim cost me some money a couple of years ago. He wholeheartedly denies it, but I went down there with $500 in my pocket.
Sorry,
I went down with $500. Please don't interrupt me when I'm trying to speak. I went down with $500 in my pocket 2 years ago. Tim had been talking about this SGC 2020 radio, and I had hung on to that money. It was in my pocket. Saturday, we were leaving Saturday midday. I talked to my buddy Randy Friday. I said, Rand, we've seen everything there is. I've still got my money in my pocket. Let's just get up and go. And he said, yeah, sure, fine. So the Saturday morning, again, this is 2 years ago, got up and Randy says, you know what? I'd like to go back. It's like, okay, sure. You know, absolutely. So we went back, and that first dial is where I found the SGC 2020, and the rest is history. And I love that radio. And there's more to come on the stream, by the way, about that SGC 2020, something absolutely fascinating. Excuse me. So this year I went down with 500, and I blew that $500 in the SGC 2020 and the matching tuner. This year I went down with $500 again. I kept it. I actually didn't buy, well, I bought one thing, and this is what I bought. I went down there. One of the things I was looking for, let me see if I can find it. I got it here. Yeah,
okay.
one of the things I was looking for was to see if people had Hustler whips and the mounts and all the rest of it for it. Now, I was talking about the 7200 earlier. That 7200 was high priced, but every set of Hustler whips, even ones sitting by themselves without any mounting hardware, were going for what I considered to be astronomical prices. Really high prices. So one of the things I had been meaning to go to our local dealership, which is about an hour's drive from my home, and so I don't get out there very often. It's called Radio World here in Canada. They sell this Hustler, this piece of metal that lets you put 3 Hustler radiators on one mast. Right? And it's about $30 Canadian for one hunk of metal. I found this. Now, this is not a Hustler. This is something called a Fire Stick, and it's called a V-bar mount. Are you familiar with these, Chris?
Yeah, the Fire Sticks were the original. They were like ham sticks back in the day too, right? So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like the Hustler, because the Hustler has a hole in the middle where the mast goes. This does not. Instead, it's got 3 holes. And there's something really, and I didn't notice this until later, but I paid $5 for it, by the way.
Perfect.
This was my big expenditure while I was down there, aside from food, of course. But apparently, they say on here, and I'm having trouble with it, that you can, if you use it with 2 Fire Sticks,
Yep.
you co-phase them. It's
Sure.
it's so that you can actually increase your output. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That sounds kind of sketchy to me, but it's
That's like
right
the
on
old
the
CB.
package here.
That's like the old CB, like with a truck. Back in the old CB days, the truckers had 2 antennas, one on each mirror, and they would co-phase them. Yeah.
But if you've got 2 of them on one mount or mast like this,
I think it makes it like an inverted V, right, Tim?
Well, I was going to say, I think the distance they're apart makes a difference too. So I don't know if they're talking like a little mini vertical array or something like that.
and it's angled, like each of
Might be a
these. You can
challenge.
see on the photo here that it's angled.
Yeah.
I that's something for me to play with, and for $5, why not? I'm sure it'll allow me to run on a couple of bands. But Rob says with a phasing harness in between them. But the point is, in my estimation, is that one of those holes is going to be dedicated for the mast, which holds, and I have to get out there with the Hustlers and try it. And I actually have 2 20-meter resonators that I can try this with. So something.
So here's my question: these are like stud mounts, right?
Yeah.
So is
exactly.
the stud mount the actual conducting element of the antenna?
Yes.
Part. So they're going to get mounted onto that little plate. So there's a common feed point coming up to that. I'm assuming that one in the middle, that hole in the middle. So I think
there is no hole in the middle.
no, I mean like the flat
What-
one, the one that's like the flat one in the package.
I think you use the one the apex of your little triangle
Yes.
there.
Yep.
That is
That's
like
the
a
mount.
mount to something. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you have, and these are all 3/8, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
So
I think so,
the
right?
size for the connector. So you have one attached to one and one attached to the other. Each is going to have its own little thing. Like Rob was saying, you have to connect them at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I could be getting this wrong, but it does if they're 3/8 stud mounts, right? Unless the holes are big enough to put the insulators in there, but it doesn't look like they are. So I'm wondering if it's the 3/8 just get threaded onto it, and that metal piece is like I don't know, it's like a
shield?
common.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a shield. I think it's like the common. It just drives to both radiators.
Oh no, that couldn't be.
I don't know.
So anyway,
Tracy's
there's
going to find out.
yeah, I sure am.
I mean, I could, like I said, there could be little Teflon insulators that go in there
Yeah,
that separate it, isolate it from the plate. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on from that one. That was my big expenditure while I was down there. They just couldn't tempt me with anything else.
Actually,
This was really cool.
Tracy, go back to that picture where that mount is, because there's
Yeah,
something
sure.
in the background you missed. Look
The
on the
D104?
right side. The right side.
D104.
D104 sitting there. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, actually, it does look in good shape,
It
doesn't it?
does. It's a beautiful microphone.
And here's something else. I don't know if those are patrolman receivers off
On the
to
left
the left,
side. That's what it looks like.
but
Yep.
those were kind of sweet too, weren't they? I really wanted one when I was a kid. Okay, take a look at this thing, guys.
It's a
And this
Geiger
is the
counter.
sort of thing that you will find at Dayton.
Yeah,
This, do you know what it is?
it's a Geiger counter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's immaculate. Look
Yeah.
at the civil defense logo on the side.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing was pristine. It was, you wanted $50 for it. Look, I have no need for a Geiger counter, but it looked so beautiful. I thought, should I? I didn't. I was being a good boy.
Don't you have one?
No.
Doesn't everybody?
I do. But I've got the little one. I've got the little guy.
No.
Those
I'm
guys
in
calibrate-
Canada. We're immune.
Calibrate and tune them and do all kinds of stuff with them. But 50
You're
bucks is a
immune.
good price.
Yeah.
You laugh it up.
Yeah, we might need them soon.
The way I see it is, if I've got one
Laughing.
and that meter's going like this, I'm dead anyway.
That's true. Good point.
All right.
Those are cool. They are. Oh yeah.
No,
Here you
I
go.
thought that was sweet.
Here's what you want. Tracy Heaven.
Now, of course, we're talking my language. We start talking about fiberglass poles and masts and this sort of thing, and I get comments. Hang on a second. I gotta show this because Philip's agreeing with me. If it reads anything, you're dying.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. That's right. If you reach anything, you're dead.
Okay. So military stacking poles, these are fiberglass ones. They're painted white, but I get asked all the time, hey, where do I find those things? Well, Dayton for one place. Like this guy had a whole bunch. Now I think he was selling 3 for $20. I don't think that's a terrible price.
No,
Probably pretty good price for those. And by the way, I had somebody, I did a video on an easy way to put up one of those masts. I had 4 sections on it to give me a total of 16 feet. And I was under the impression that was about as far as you could go. And I based that upon experience trying to put up 5 at once. And when I tried to do that by lifting from the top, having a rope tied off at the top, and then the bottom being held in place, one of them actually cracked on me. And so I figured, okay, can't be done. I'm wrong. It can be done. There's a special technique for doing it. And I hope to make a video later this year talking about how you can stack. You can put up 8 of these things if you want to, if you know the right trick. Anyway, so if you're looking for these poles, go out to a decent sized hamfest. Or you guys, listen, you guys are in the US. We don't have anything like that down here, but there's such thing as military surplus, outlets or shows that you could go to pick up military stuff, because that seems to me a good place to find things like this as well. Anything?
No, those are great. I love them. I have 2 sets.
I've never used them.
I use the aluminum ones though.
Yeah, well, the aluminum ones will cause some interaction with the antenna, though, won't they?
Never had a problem.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. That's good information. And by the way, yes, Rob, you're right. Princess Auto. Now, anybody who doesn't live in Canada thinks that's a ridiculous name for a store, and actually, a lot of people who live in Canada think it's a ridiculous name for a store. But it's terrific. And yes, occasionally they do buy military surplus poles, and you can get them there if you live in Canada. But it's kind of like a Harbor Freight, I guess.
Yeah. Isn't that the Canadian Tire? That's more like a Harbor Freight, I think, right?
He probably, and I've never been into a hardware freight, so I'm extrapolating.
Yeah, Harbor Freight's great.
Yeah, we have a Harbor Freight here in town.
Yep, they're great.
Cool.
They're popping up all over the place now.
Okay, so there's more here, but what I wanted to show off in this photo, can you see the tripod
Right here?
just in the bottom right
Yeah,
there?
he's got that wrap around it.
He was selling these tripods. Now these were made of metal, by the way, those tripods. He wanted $80 for them. Well, number one, I think that's a lot of money for something like that. Number two, I didn't want to spend $80. I think Tim, you're rubbing off on me a little bit.
It's cool, but what are you going to do? Carry that thing around?
Well, that's just it. It's big, and we're in a rental car, not a big vehicle. So I'm not even sure I'd be able to fit it in the vehicle.
That heavy, but I've got the big tripod that I put the telescope on. Right, this thing's made of steel. It's the heaviest thing I got. I mean, it's a monster, and the scope won't rattle or anything while it's on it. But damn, I have to pick that thing up and carry it somewhere.
Yeah,
I had kids.
Now, so somebody else came along and they had a cool idea. Just sell this little part right here. These two are metal. And now you can take your poles and slide them in here and, instant tripod for your mast. Really, really cool. Now, again, $85. I wasn't going to spend it. It's heavy duty. I wasn't going to break.
You could just get a hitch mount too if you're that serious about it.
Yeah. I'm just going to let me just. Rob Noakes has just sent me a something about a phased array. Rob, I can't get to it right now. I'm sadly. Thanks for sending that across, but I'll look at it later. Okay. Guys, you see some clever things when you get people together, right? Some guys have a great sense of humor. I want to show you something. I thought this, and there were all kinds of signs and banners there. Here was my favorite sign from Hamvention. I think this is brilliant. I wanted, she only had the one, she didn't have one to sell me. That was,
that's great.
I enjoyed that.
I like that.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay. I came across these guys, C3 Electronics, and an older fellow in there. It's funny, me calling a pot, calling the kettle black, I guess. Here he is. I don't know if this is his son, but take a look at these drive-on pole mounts that he's selling. So the first question I ask him when I see him is, will it take the Spider Beam 40-foot mast? He says, absolutely. He said, I made sure I sized it big enough. Now, these are solid metal. I mean, these are extremely well made. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. I couldn't bring it home in the vehicle with me. It's just too big, too awkward. I'm not sure how practical it is because it's beautifully constructed, right?
Somebody
it's a wide base.
Make those too, didn't they? I mean, there was used to be able to get these at like Ham Radio Outlet, or what is it, American Electric Supply or something. They had the drive-on ones.
There were other ones, but this thing is the most heavy duty, ruggedized thing I've ever seen.
He's welding them together, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tube and plate and
yeah. Nice guy. I told him I'd share this on the stream. Just looked like a terrific
that's cool
product there.
Yeah.
Here's my buddy Randy holding it. I mean, look at the size of this thing.
How much was it?
Is a monster.
Well, when you're you got your 18-wheeler, you need something that's gonna hold up.
And by the way, he also sells something. Is it on this? Yeah. Okay. Take a look over to the right-hand side here. Those are trailer hitch.
Yeah, it's a hitch mount.
Yeah, sure.
Mounts, right?
Yep.
So he's got those as well. Again, built to such an incredibly high standard. If anybody's looking for something like this that is ruggedized, I would say give this man a call.
How much is it?
I didn't even get into pricing with him, Chris.
Curious.
I didn't want to waste his time, but just really interesting stuff.
Well, something like that's going to be handmade, I'm sure, and he's doing the work himself, is probably, I don't know, $150-$200 probably.
Maybe.
That would be my guess. Yeah.
The trailer hitch mount is that would be, because these days all I've been doing is like lashing the fiberglass pole into the couple of hooks in my bed on my truck, but that would be perfect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and by the way, they angle, they pivot.
Yeah, there are some antennas out there that are designed to be lightweight and not very bulky, so you don't have to have that big of a mast to support them.
I know.
Mike's got a great point here. Buy those mounts at a Hamfest because the shipping must be nuts.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Well, if I go to
Absolutely.
Dayton, if I go out to Dayton and I have to drive out there to get that thing home, you know what the shipping cost would be for me to go out there and get it?
Ooh. That's right. Okay, so there's the boneyard. Let's get on to some of the other stuff that I saw. Okay, vendors inside the vendor exhibit. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I cherry picked the stuff that I'm going to show you here. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. We still got a couple of other topics to get to. DX Engineering was selling a Go kit for ICOM. All right, it's 7300 and an ID 5100 transceiver in this one right here, and a sturdy gator case that it all goes inside. And they call it the Go Box -1. And here it is in all its glory. I guess they've got a couple of different. They got the ICOM version and the Yaesu version.
Man, if that came in camo, all over.
Oh, they could sell it for a lot more.
Yeah.
That's right.
What happens if you drop it though? I mean, you'll never find it.
If the camo's that good. Yeah,
Good
true.
point. So, what do you guys think of this?
It's cool, I guess. You know, I
You know, I went
guess
to
if you want to be the guy who rolls up with the, you know, the built-in, you know, you go buy one of those Mercedes vans or whatever, and like, you know, build out the back in hardwood, and then put your case in there, and you know, have a little refrigerator and stuff. I mean, sure.
There's a lot of guys that build Go kits on their own. You know, you get like a rack from like Gator or one of those people, and then you put all the components you want, you wire it all up, and it's a great project. You know, but I wonder, do you want to dedicate like a 7300 or I don't know what Yaesu's in there, and just have it sitting in a box all the time? It's a lot of radio to leave sitting in a box, unless you're going out doing POTA every other day.
Unless you're riding around in a camo van or something. I mean,
Or you sound like a harbor seal there. You've got a space in your basement, on your shack, on the desk. You're done with it outside. You put it up on the desk.
Yeah,
You plug the antenna and power in. Now it's your home.
Yeah, right. Because basically, it's a shack in a box, is what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're right. I guess you could bring it in and like park it on a desk, and now you've got your shack at home.
honestly, I'll probably catch some hell for this too, but this is the kind of thing you buy when you want other people to look at what you have. You know?
Yeah. And that's a good point. It's too heavy. You're carrying a heavy box wherever you're going. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Good point, Philip. All right. One last thing that caught my eye while I was down there. You guys familiar with these at all? These are third-party microphones. And okay, did I not catch the brand name in here? INRAD microphone.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you guys familiar with these at all?
I heard the name.
I've heard the name too. I've seen the photos on websites. This is the first time I've ever seen it in person. They look pretty good. The price is very reasonable compared to buying OEM desk mics.
Right.
And I went over and I picked one up. These suckers are heavy. They don't feel like cheap crap, which is sort of what I expected. So I'm thinking, hey, you know, if I didn't already have an unused ICOM SM30 sitting here, I might invest in one of those. Interesting product. I never had it, and I thought I would share that. Okay. One thing that I teased the other day is, and we won't spend too much time on this. I just thought it might be a little bit of a fun thing for a couple of minutes. So I'm playing around with AI and trying to boost views on my channel and videos, etc. And so I've been playing around with thumbnails and thumbnail generation. And let me just share with you what the thumbnail on my most current video looks like this. And this is cobbled together, a little bit of AI, but mostly me doing manual stuff, taking a couple of different images, putting in the background, putting in the text manually, that sort of thing. And that's the format that I've gone to for my videos, trying to increase the eye appeal, the capture effect when you're showing off. So I thought, okay, this is what I came up with. What would AI come up with if I asked it to produce a field day video thumbnail for one of my videos? So here's the first one that comes up. Look at that. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Not bad, right?
Right.
Pretty decent.
It didn't get the YouTube face very well, but
No, it didn't. But that's probably on me. It doesn't really tie in with what I wanted to do, and I was trying to tell it, okay, I'm going to be out there alone. I'm going to be doing this stuff and a lot of work to do, etc.
I just softened up your features real nice though too. I would say.
What's that?
It softened up your features real nice.
Oh yeah, no, it makes me look like a movie star, doesn't it?
Light and the filter. You look like $1 million, dude.
It never looks so good. As my dad and what keeps me humble is my dad's telling me, you can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear. Okay, so I thought, okay, that's all right. Let's get another one. Now this one has a slightly different feel to it.
You think?
Yeah, that's and then so I thought, I'm kind of striking out here. I got to tell it again. I'm doing it by myself. Okay, so I go in and I change the description to get something where I'm doing it by myself. Here's what it gave me.
No, you're completely by yourself. There's nobody there.
What the heck is this?
And they look like guitar amps.
Exactly. All right. And then, we're getting a little bit more obscure. I don't know. AI was just having too much fun with it. But here's the next one that I got. Now, is that a yo-yo? I don't know what that is.
A tape measure.
A tape measure.
Or a chalk line.
Maybe
Maybe a chalk.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But you got that Indiana Jones look. That kind of works.
Well, as Chris has coined it, or sorry, as Tim has coined it, Ontario Jones, apparently.
I did make that joke, didn't I?
But here is my favorite, gentlemen. The favorite one that it spit out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know what? Like,
yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams could I imagine a field day like this.
Well, your imagination is limited, sir.
What's that?
Your imagination is limited. I could
I'll tell you what, you'll get a lot of clicks with that one.
Now I have no idea what one bill is, but I wanted to share that. Okay, but now let's get into the fun stuff, guys, because what's that?
That isn't fun.
Well, of course it's fun, but we got a different kind of fun now. All right. Chris, Tim, and I'm hoping people who are watching this are going to share. Give us your thoughts in the comments. Let us know. It's been out for about a month now. It's been officially available.
Give you my thoughts
apparently to those, to everybody except for those that placed an early order for it. But that's another story we don't need to go into. What do you think of this FTX one? It's been out there for a while. Chris, what are your thoughts, having seen what you have?
I haven't really looked at the specs or anything, but the traffic I'm reading on it is everyone's kind of like, no big deal. I think people were looking for like a modernized FT8-17, and instead they got this.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing. That's the scuttlebutt I've been hearing on it.
So what are your thoughts? When you take a look at it? Any interest in this radio at all?
Not for the money. It's like $1,800, right?
Okay.
It's not cheap. So
no, it's definitely not cheap.
Yeah. So I mean, well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of bringing like those complicated displays and touchscreens into the field. I'm just not, because I think you're asking for trouble.
Unless you got it in your big case.
There you go. All right, and you can park it inside your truck, right? So I don't know. I from what I'm hearing and the stuff I'm reading on it, I'm like, I think it's a miss on Yaesu's part.
Tim,
no.
Please expound.
I think I'd rather install a new copy of Windows on the first day it comes out than buy a radio. It just doesn't work. It's not going to be Wasn't there some flap with the APRS or APRS module in there or something like that? They said it was going to come with one. It didn't come with
And
one.
it didn't,
Now
right? Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
I've heard a
firmware
lot of
update or something like that.
right. There's a lot of buzz out there that it's just not worth the money, and they missed it.
Give it a year, give it 2 years. Let's see
If it's still around.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are yeah, I gotta say I was unprepared for that kind of response from you. So let's dig into this a little bit more. So I'm going to tell you this from having seen it up close and personal.
It's pretty.
Dayton. It's a beauty.
It's pretty.
Which is good and bad, right? Chris, to your point. I mean, it just looks gorgeous. It's really nice. And so now that it's so nice, do you really want to take it into the field?
Right.
You saw the Dirty Dozen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when Donald Sutherland's out there inspecting the troops? It's very pretty, General, but can they fight? And it was a big joke. That's what I think of when I see this. It's beautiful, but, I'm going to be afraid to take it outside.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, I'm with you. Absolutely. Mike says, I'm not going to say anything negative about a manufacturer giving us a new all-band, all-mode transceiver. It's good to have options and competition. There's a lot to be said for that, Mike. Absolutely. Okay. So
nice. Look at that. I mean, come on.
What's up with that? What is up
sturdy.
with that?
It is the knobs feel good. The display is clearly legible. One of the things I was puzzling about, because of course we're familiar with the 705. The 705 has that front-facing speaker. It's not a big one, but it's adequate. I'm looking at the front panel of this Yaesu, and I'm thinking, where is the speaker? Well, the speakers are underneath. There's a slot underneath here, and the speakers, I guess, fire downward into this and come out. Now, I couldn't hear anything at Dayton. I couldn't listen to that. I don't even think it was hooked up to an antenna. But from all reports that I've heard, the audio is actually really good. And of course, strong audio from a portable transceiver is a Yaesu strength. They've been doing it for years. Even the 710 has got tremendous audio in the field. Here is a look at it with the amplifier in the back. And I took a few shots just going around. You can see the ribbon cable here that attaches the head unit to the amplifier. And a look at the back panel of the head unit. And of course, back here. Notice the angling up on the head unit as once it's attached to the body. So that's something to be aware of, because it's got that little bit of an odd form factor. But I'm going to say this. I do like the all-in-one, the snap-together design. I'm accustomed to the 897, accustomed to the 991A. I'm glad they didn't make it a discrete head unit. I'm glad that they actually do snap together. Another look at the back of the head unit and here. So here's what I think about the FTX-1. This is Yaesu's replacement. This is Yaesu's replacement for the 817, 818, and the 897. This is it. Whether we like it or not, this is what they're doing. I think it's pretty damn good. I like it a lot. I like it so much that coming back home from Dayton, I was convinced that I was going to sell my 710 and buy the Optima version. I'm not thinking that anymore. It's not because I don't like the radio. I think the radio is very cool. And I go along with Mike, by the way. We have a lot of thanks to give to ICOM and Yaesu for bringing out these cutting-edge field radios, even if they don't really meet that field criteria that we've seen from radios in the past. But with all this state-of-the-art capability built into a form factor that I, having taken an 897 into the field many times, having taken the 991A into the field, I don't mind this form factor one bit. It doesn't bother me. I kind of like the idea that the head is removable and I can take it out to do some QRP. But the question that came down to me was, I've got a 705 and I've got a 710. They do not give me 100 watts on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. True. But I've pretty much got most of what I am asking for from a radio system right now. It's for that reason that at this point in time, I'm not considering the purchase of either, even though after having seen it hands-on, I was really interested in buying one. Okay, I want to take a look at some of the comments that we're getting here. Here's Shane. A good modern field radio would have the form factor and classic rugged display, like an 817 or 857. Then have a free app for your phone or tablet that would have a waterfall display. Well, that's an intriguing idea.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly right.
Yep.
Here we go. Be willing. Give us your call sign, be willing, or maybe drop your name into the chat. And I'm sorry if you've done it before. I've probably forgotten. But thank you for the comment. The FTX-1F got too much attention. The Flex Aurora didn't get the same level of attention on social media. I wonder why that is. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know what the Flex Aurora is. I don't play in the Flex space. I don't have much knowledge. Either you guys familiar with that model?
No.
Hey, I know Flex Radio, but
yeah,
I don't remember the Flex Aurora. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't give them out to YouTubers enough.
Hey, Mike N2MAK is saying he's waiting on an 857 replacement. This clearly does not replace the 857, right? That 100 watt in a mobile form factor. You can call this FTX-1 Optima anything you want, but don't call it a mobile form factor. It certainly isn't. Yeah.
See, yeah, for my money, I would just, if I buy a new radio in the next 6 months, whatever, it'd probably be like an 857. Really. Because what?
You buy a used one?
The prices aren't that bad, so I might actually go for a new one.
Unless you try to buy it
Well,
at date.
they don't sell them anymore. The 857?
You sure?
You can buy that brick on Amazon if you want. I'm pretty sure the 857 is discontinued. It was a few years back. If it's not like it is it's not available in Canada. I can tell you that much.
857 used. You might be right. Okay, I buy a used one.
Okay, you'd be comfortable buying. I think I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to get, and it must have been that SG 2000 that did it to me.
As long as it wasn't used by Philip, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Maybe you could get Philip to buy it first. So speaking of the gentleman from down Georgia way, he says, look at Sherwood's tests on this radio way down the list. I didn't know that he'd done it already, so that's interesting to know. Hey, Brian, thanks for chipping in here. VE3XBW. All right. So Philip is saying that the Aurora, the Flex Aurora, is an SDR, a big money flex. Well, that's problem. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason, right? So, hey, Mike, this is a good point. The 857 costs more now than when it came out. Yeah, that's true.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, you know what, guys? I don't want to. We've got lots of other stuff that we can talk about, and I want to get into Field Day a little bit here and sort of talk about Tim's antenna that he was kind enough to send me. But just one last note on the FTX-1, and I think this goes along with the point that Philip was making. I was talking to a local ham here. He's a big VHF UHF guy. And we were talking about the FTX-1 Optima, and he says, yeah, I'm not going to buy one. I'm not a bit interested. I said, really? Why? He says it's only single conversion on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. And so I went back and I took a look at some other radios like the 991A, like the 9700. Well, they're all dual conversion.
Right.
So it's his belief that a single conversion radio on those bands will not be as sensitive.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's
Could
not
be.
SDR, it's single conversion.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. I don't know that side of it, but there it is right there, single conversion on those bands.
Hmm.
That'd be an interesting question for John Kruk when we can get him to come on. Talk about that. Any final thoughts on the FTX-1, guys, before we shift gears into field day?
Yeah, I misspoke. I meant the FT891, not the.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that one's still available.
Yeah.
And that's a great rig. A great rig with a 3-year warranty. Okay. Let's talk a little field day now. I mean, this is like Christmas for guys like Tim. Okay, maybe not guys like Tim, but for guys like me. This is my favorite time of the year, unquestionably. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about what I'm going to be doing for it, and I also want to dig into one of Tim's antennas that he sent along, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that. Chris, before I start on my stuff, do you have what do you have any plans for field day so far?
I have a tentative plan. Not going to a park. This year, I like, hey, I pastor a church. It's got a nice big parking lot and it's got a nice front lawn that I can probably set something up in. So I'm thinking about just going there and spending the afternoon there and seeing what I can do. I do have some. The thing I'm thinking about is, do I want to do it using the 817, or do I want to do it using the 7100 that's mounted in the truck and just like throw a coax cable out the door and use this antenna that my friend Tim sent me, and also this, it cost me money because of Tracy, which is a Spider Beams 30-foot mast. And so I was thinking I wanted to try that, and I'll probably use a 7100 because field day is not what it used to be, and it's like loaded up with all these guys working from home, and it's just if you're going QRP, you're really in trouble. It's just a really, really, really hard go. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm loose with it right now. I really haven't nailed it down yet. So
okay, all right, fair enough. Tim, I need to ask the question just out of decorum.
Sure.
Any field day plans?
Plans? No, I'll probably do something. It's depending on the weather. Really.
Okay.
I might mosey down to Illinois Beach State there and USA 1000 for those who keep track of that kind of thing.
Cool.
And have some fun.
I didn't expect that from you.
I'm just going to bring the BG 2000 or whatever it is and a battery. Yep. And have some fun like that.
There you go.
Sounds nice.
And a monoband dipole, probably. I'll probably just do 20 or maybe 40.
Running CW?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. That would be fun.
Cool. Take some photos, Tim. I'd love to see those.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing and then into Tim's antenna. And by the way, Mike, Kilo 8, Mike Radio Delta, really nice to have seen you at Dayton. You know what? I did not spend enough time getting to chat to guys, and that was on me. Next year, if I do it, I'm going to do it right and dedicate some time so that I can actually have a decent conversation rather than a hi-bye sort of thing. But anyway, so here is my field day site. This is the same site I was at last year. This is a campsite. Now it's kind of hard to see there, but what we've got is that yellow circle is the actual campsite. And anything below that, you may see a line of trees on either side going all the way down. Between those lines and below the campsite is a giant field. Mm. At the end of that field are some more trees. Then there's a beach. Then there's Lake Erie, like right there. Now, that campsite is approximately 60 feet deep. So that kind of gives you scale for the size of that field. Now, last year, what I did in that location is I ran one of Tim's antennas. I ran a 40 20 linked dipole set up for 40 meters. Worked very well. And Chris, to your point about QRP, I made more than 100 contacts running QRP.
Right.
ICOM 705 and the SGC SG 2020. So now, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm thinking back. Some of those contacts were made at 45 watts because I was also testing that Chinese amplifier.
Yep.
But I made a whole bunch of them at 10 watts or less. That 705, I was running at 5 watts for the whole time because that's what I needed to feed the amplifier with, and the amplifier was in line, though turned off for a bunch of it. Okay, so this time around, I've been talking to Tim about this for a while. Based upon that extra long field, one thing I have not done in recent years is work 80 meters. So that field, by the way, you can't see it, but it's filled with biting flies.
Mm-hmm.
They're nasty. I learned that last year.
Yes, you did.
so I don't want to have to do too much playing around in that field. So rather than have an off-center fed dipole, I want to have an end fed. Now, an end fed on 80 meters, it's a lot of wire. I actually use one at the home shack here, going out into the ravine, into the trees. It works pretty well. So I asked Tim to come up with an 80 meter end fed that I could use for 80 meters and 40 meters. I am going to run it as a near vertical incident skywave. And I am going to, let me just show you here. I'm going to use some military stacking poles. I'm going to put 3 of them stacked up to give me a 12-foot height. This is the end point, which is going to be near my operating tent. I'm going to have 2 tents. I'm going to have a sleeping tent. I'm going to have an operating tent, a radio tent. And then that is going to go way off down into the field for 130 odd feet. Tim, what did you say the dimensions in this one?
Somewhere around there, 128.
128 feet.
A little less with the velocity factor.
So a long way. But if we go back and take a look at the site, so it's going to start at around here, and it's going to come down probably to about here. It's not going to go the full length of the field. The field is much longer than that. But I figure what I can do is I can just run it across down this way, in line with the trees, because the trees it's not like they're bushes. The trees are spaced apart, and there's spot in between for me to put some manner of support that's only 12 feit high.
Yeah, now it'll sag quite a bit over 128 feet.
So I'm going to have to support it at the midpoint. Yeah. So I'm making a plan for that. So
you
I'm going to
if you wanted to, even to go. This is what I would do if I had that in that spot, and I would do some form of inverted L with it, and I would go up 15-20 feet or so, and then run it out like that. You wouldn't have to run it as far, right? And you might get a little better radiation like that. But that's just me.
I'm sorry, Tim, I'm not following. Would you run me through that again, please?
So an inverted L, right?
An inverted L. So putting the
no.
The far end up high or the near end up high?
No, you want the box near the ground, right? But off the ground, like 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah. And
then run a section 15-20 feet straight up to your pole, and then go out from there.
So your feed point is closer to the ground rather than being 12 feet up in the air.
Right, because you were putting the box in the air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
No. Well, it would have been about 12 feet up.
Okay, so you're going to do an inverted L. Well, yeah. So you would have the feet
12 feet up and then out, right?
Yeah.
So,
but he's saying you do it as an L.
Straight line. I would do it in an L.
So up about 20 feet or so.
Ish. Yeah. Ish. Play with it.
And then have it angle down towards the bottom, the end of the antenna.
With the length of wire like that, I mean, you're going to run. It's going to go like a power line, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get a little sag in the middle unless your trees are spaced, 5-10 feet apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just attach a counterweight on the other end and just let it droop. And that way it would keep some tension on it. I don't know. Have you thought about how you're going to secure it on the far end?
Oh yeah, no, I've got I've got options on the far end. I could even tie it off to one of those trees.
Well, you can do that, yeah.
Yeah. So I can either use the military stacking poles again, or I can tie it off to a tree. And a tree might be the most stealthy way, because what you don't see here is on the other side there is a walkway for campers to go down to the beach there. So I don't really want it to be visible between the trees. I don't think anybody's looking for it anyway.
15 feet in the air, you're never going to see it.
No,
exactly. Yeah. All right. Here's something for you, Tim, and I would like to get your feedback on. So N3WS, hey, thanks for joining us. NFEDs do work better with the feed point closer to the ground, my experience.
Mine too.
Yep.
Yeah.
About 2 feet, right, Tim?
Ish, yeah. You know, you don't want it to couple with the ground. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So you want it up off the ground a bit. I usually run. Well, see, Walt did a video not too long ago, and he was talking about an NFED that he just ran straight up as a vertical, right?
Yep,
See
which I've done on multiple occasions.
You could absolutely do. That's why it's linked, right? So you can take that, longer section, just run what is resonant on 20 meters, run it up, as straight up as you want, and you basically got a 20-meter vertical style antenna, right? And if you want to, and if you can get it up that high, you just plug the 40 in and come down again. You've got an inverted V.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I do is just take the 40 section, run it, 15, 20 feet straight up and then out. But you got to have something to secure it on the far end. And that's what I do here in the backyard. I've got one out here now that's got, just exactly that. And it runs out, and I took one of my dog's old toys, right? And just tied it off on the end, and it just hangs down on the branch. So now when the wind goes, it just goes with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's like that was like my number 2 antenna for ever and ever. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Okay. Hey, let's look at this. Shane, where Shane has using 2 or 3 N9 SAB antennas for my field day setup this year. Easily the best dipoles I've used.
No question.
Can't recommend enough.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
No question.
Fantastic.
And that's what I'm doing. If I end up doing something too, it's just going to be straight up monoband dipole. You cannot. It is hard to beat.
It is indeed. Okay, since we're talking about the antenna, so here's the box. Tim, thank you very much for sending this across. So I've got
you got a blue one. Yeah,
match, very fashionable blue too, by the way.
Unboxing.
I got a blue one too.
If we're doing unboxing, let me open this up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop the screen here, and let's go to this. Here we go. So this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is a linked NFED, right, Tim?
Correct.
So I've got the way it comes out of the box here.
Before you go too far down the road, look at the way this stuff comes packaged. This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
It's
one
like
of these days,
if
I wasn't such a cheapskate, one of these days I would invest in like a die-cut cardboard thing to put it in, and one day
it got here, and it got here in one piece and safely.
A little chipboard carton.
So Tim, just confirming, because this is the first time I've been able to lay eyes on it. It arrived a couple days ago.
I'm surprised.
Lots going on here. Yeah. So this comes out of the box. No link on it. This is for 40 meters.
No, that's for 20.
Oh, it's for 20. Okay.
Yep.
So I haven't dug further into it. Okay. Now I've got a beefy extension.
It should be labeled.
A little bit smaller extension.
Okay, so they should be labeled. One will say 40 and one will say 80.
And you're absolutely right. You've got, we talked a few streams ago about markers, Sharpies that aren't just black, and you've used a Sharpie here.
Yes,
silver or white. That's beautiful.
Metallic silver. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Actually,
fantastic.
As long as we're unboxing, hang on.
Yep.
Well, good. While we're talking here, Tim's stuff comes with a full set of specs and recommended installation configurations.
Beautiful.
So marvelous. Absolutely marvelous.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well, that's a big. You got a bigger box than I did.
so a buddy of mine talked me into
Spending money. Holy cow!
How'd that happen?
What's that?
Spending money. Talked you into spending money.
Yeah, believe me. This has been sitting in my foyer for a month and a half now.
All right, Tim.
I just
Tim,
haven't
I'm
got
going
to
to ask
it.
a dumb question. What am I using this for?
Oh well, we'll get there. Hang on.
Okay. All
What
right.
does it say?
All right.
What does it say on there?
It says, 75 meters. Oh, I got you. Okay.
Aha.
Got it. I held it upside down. I thought it was something. So this is all linked. This is awesome.
Oh, that's a nice case.
So yeah, right. So I'm told anyway that inside this thing is a heat shrink printer.
A heat shrink printer.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds cool.
So I put my
Really?
heat shrink in one, and I tell it what I want it to say, and then it prints right on the heat shrink.
A label on the heat shrink.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, no,
Wow.
printed on the heat shrink, not a label, but
Printed right on. Okay, yeah.
right on. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's cool.
So we'll have to see if that actually
That is very cool.
works as advertised. It is a Dymo Rhino 5200 advanced labeling tool.
Oh,
I got.
what's one of those worth, Tim?
Yeah, I got a deal on it. What?
Well, of course you did. What's one of those worth?
I don't know. I paid $100 for it.
Oh, okay. That is a deal.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so that's
Well, actually, the guy called me up and says, "Oh, they got this on eBay. You should get this. It'd be so cool if you printed your heat shrink." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got a Sharpie that I bought for off Amazon for like a pack of. Get a pack of 3 for $5. Can you beat that?" Oh, this would be super cool. It'd be, well, how much? Well, I don't. There's 2 of them. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to buy them both if you don't. I got dared into it.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh
Fine,
man.
I'm gonna.
Okay,
All right.
so let's go back to my antenna. All right, so this is the 20-meter resonator radiator. On
Yeah,
it.
you can. You throw that up. If you throw that up in the
Yep.
air and
Mhm.
do your thing with it, you will be able to work 20 meters and 10 meters without a tuner.
Oh, okay, awesome. Now,
It's
So-
a resonant half wave on 20 and a full wave on 10, I think.
so I've also got 80 meters. I got 40 meters here.
Okay.
What do I do? Just put one or the other on?
No,
they work in
no.
combination?
What you want to do with that? Let's say your plan for field day is to go out there and you're going to work 80 meters, right? You want
Mhm.
to work 80 meters. You just plug them all together and you run your wire out there.
Plug them all together.
If you do that, okay, you'll be able to work. And if you go to the listing on eBay, first of all, I have to say this is not a new idea. It wasn't even my idea, right? This is something that Philip and I talked about, and because we were always talking about. I get a lot of requests for 80-meter end feds, right? Now
Yep.
that's not in my wheelhouse. An 80-meter end fed, really. I mean, for an operator, right? It's a lot of wire, and I live in the city. It's not, I really have to get out into the country if I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
So, but I get a lot of requests for it. So, okay, I'm happy to oblige. The problem with an 80-meter end-fed half wave is 80 meters is this giant band. So when you're running like that, you're kind of limited to the bottom end of the 80-meter band for like CW and digital. Yes, I'm that guy.
Yes.
So, he remembers Tony too. I
Yeah.
wish we could find him.
He would be so much fun to have on a
I
stream.
wish he'd be back on.
If anybody knows Tony, tell him to reach out.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with the CW digi portion of 80 meters, right? And I think
Yeah.
a lot of the attraction for especially on field day is going to be people are going to want to work SSB, which is theoretically 75 meters, 3850 or 3800, somewhere around there. Right. Well, if you do that, you're going to lose the other bands if you do that. Now, typically you would take the end feds that I make are cut long, so you can trim them, right? And you can cut them back or roll them back to the point where you can work 75 meters, but then you want to work 80, you have to go back and do the other thing. And if you're on 75, you're going to lose 10, you're going to lose 20, right? 15.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to work those. So the idea was, and Steve Harrington did a video on this years ago, right? And Dave Kassler did one too. He was trying to make an 80 meter work on 10. So the idea was that you take a small capacitor and you put that in line, and now your 75 meter band comes in under like 1.4. That's what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
So instead of going out and having to move your wire and twist your wire and do all kinds of other stuff, you can just plug that in line. Now that goes at the halfway point. So where the 40 and the 80 connect together, that's where you put the resonator in line.
Right.
And boom, you've got 75 meters.
Beautiful.
Which is cool, you know. So
I want to tell you this. For the first time ever in field day, and I've been doing field day for years, as you know. First time ever, I'm going to be running more than 20 watts.
Holy cow.
Because I've got a 100 amp hour battery now. I can sit there with my FT710 cranking out 75 watts just because I'm that guy. I'm not going to put 100 out. I don't need to. There's no difference between 75 and 100. And I'll do my finals a little bit of a break. So I'm going to be putting out 75 watts on 40 and 80. The plan is near vertical incident skywave. I'm going to run 40 during the day. As darkness comes in, now I'm going to switch down to 75. I think I'm going to be putting out a pretty good signal in that NVIS range.
In your umbrella, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might even how far away are we as the crow flies? It's about 350 miles, right? More than that?
Maybe, yeah.
So we might actually be able to do something there.
Oh, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, Tim.
Yeah. I mean, provided the sun doesn't go crazy, but
it's minimum. Well, I was going to say it's minimized in the lower bands, but
there's a geomagnetic storm or something. I mean, it's not going to help.
I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to, there's something about field day. Listen, this may sound woo-woo to a lot of people, but I honestly believe the combined will of all those hams out there is going to create proper conditions for us to be able to communicate.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Hope you got the battery.
I got the battery.
All those contacts you're going to make, you know.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that with this Aether Waves antenna.
Yeah. So if that's your plan to get down there, I think you'll do fine.
Yeah. No, I'm sure of it. I like the idea of the inverted L. That's what I'm going with. You change my mind.
It's going to make it easier to change to, and you can link the whole thing and set it all up, and then if you wanted to just break the link at the 40 section, you'll have a 40 meter inverted L NFED half wave that's going to do 40, 20, 15, and 10, right?
Yep.
But so I'm going to use Rich's N4VS, his telescopic whip for 20 and up. That's all I need for there. I really expect I'm going to be focusing most of my effort on 40 and 75.
Yeah, you should be fine
with your antenna.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Okay,
just
good.
Off the ground, right?
Yep.
And if you want to run a counterpoise, it's perfectly fine. Or if you want to use the spike that comes with it, you can do that too.
I'll tell you what. When I used the last NFED, the 40 and 20 linked one you gave me, that one. I didn't use any counterpoise, and I literally had a short hunk of coax going to the radio, and that thing
not a problem
flat all the way across.
And honestly, that's been my experience too. I rarely, in fact, I've never encountered some of the issues that some people have with, NFED antennas and CMCs and things like that. I don't know if it's something I'm doing or not doing. It just hasn't happened to me, or I'm so deaf to it that I don't even feel it.
Worked flawlessly for me. So
the only time I ever had a problem happened in field day. I think it was 2021. I had an NFED that was running right over top of the operating position, and it was only up about 10 feet or so above where I was sitting, and I got some RF feedback. And I got a little RF burn off the back of the third-party microphone that had a metal plate on the microphone hanger, and it's like, "Oops, okay, I know what's going on." there.
Typically, when I'm running, I'll have 35 feet of coax generally, and I'll be, I won't be underneath the antenna or anything like that.
No, absolutely. And you've sent me a line isolator previously anyway, so I'll be using that with it.
Yeah,
I'll make sure that I'll probably have 18 feet of coax.
Yeah, but like I said, this is an idea that goes way back, and if you go out into the market and you're looking for an 80 meter A lot of guys, I know there's a few of them out there that are the short ones, right? But typically people will use like a trap or a coil or something in order to do that. And I don't like those kinds of things. And I know Philip doesn't like those kinds of things. They just tend to be lossy.
Yeah.
So we figured we'd try this trick. That's why I call it the Fleep Tenna, because originally it was his.
Fleep Tenna, I love it.
Why don't you do this? Nobody does it like this, which was attractive to me. So
Fleep is saying run the new antenna off your 12-meter pole as a V.
sure.
Then I lose some of the near vertical incident skywave. I mean, it's still so low to the ground that it's probably going to act. I'm just wondering about some of those lobes. I don't know, but
Well,
it's
part of the attraction is, getting out of the shack and get outdoors out of the shack and play with it.
And you've raised a good point, Tim. I've never actually run a near vertical incident skywave at a low height before. And that's part of the attraction for me.
Well, Gaston and I did his Tech Pepper dipole specifically as NVIS configuration, right? So, and I think he's running his like 8 feet off the ground or something like that, but that's a dipole.
What bands was he running? Do you remember?
What's that?
What bands was he running?
80, 75, 60, 40, and 20. 20 is not an NVIS frequency, but if worst comes to worst, you have a 20-meter dipole you can play with.
Right.
So 40 and up for NVIS, sure.
Okay.
People seem to like that.
Yeah. So this, I mean, I can tell just by holding it, this is an excellently made product. Congratulations. I will be producing a video highlighting, profiling this one. Plus my field day.
Like so the other one that I've got in the pipeline too is the 100-watt capable Carolina Wyndham.
Oh,
you like your Wyndham. I want to do a 100-watt version of that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful antenna. It's a performer, and you don't even have to get it up that high for it to work well.
Yeah, I love that thing. Now I would do an 80-meter one of those, except for the vertical radiator is going to be like 40 feet or something like that. No,
you got to get that up there.
Yeah. So 40 meters is almost perfect. It gives you 10 feet of vertical in it.
Yep.
And I think that's probably, as partial as I am to the OCF that I make, the dual core one, I like the idea of the Wyndham too, just because it feels good to have that vertical low takeoff radiation.
Right. Now the one thing that you run into when you're running something like an OCF as opposed to an NFED is and that's for a guy like me who goes out by himself to set it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting those suckers up initially is tricky.
It can be.
You got the two radiators coming off the side. You get their feed point up, and then you got to keep them from getting tangled as you're getting your.
I've gotten pretty good with that arborist bag though, and there's no shortage of trees around here, right? So, I've gotten to the point where I can just do 2 extensions. I don't have to worry about a center support because I can just put enough tension on there that it keeps it up. And people have mentioned this. So I make a little bracket sometimes, a little brace that goes over where the 2 wires come out of the dipole.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little 3D printed PETG thing that kind of just cinches it, so you can put much more tension on those lines.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I've always been leery of, right?
Yanking too hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
But the things aren't that critical. Like, people obsess over the little details on stuff like that, and it's just not really that much of a factor. You don't need to have that perfectly linear run.
In practice, no. You just want to make sure that you're up high enough, and that you're not. If you decide to do a V, just make sure that you don't have too much inversion on there.
And keep that angle greater than 90 degrees.
Probably. Well, there's top 10 questions that I get, and somebody will. This is one of them. It's I got your antenna up. I got it up 20 feet, and I'm running such and such to the and the end point is 3 feet off the ground. I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I draw a little triangle in my head, right? I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, you're up 20 feet, and I know one leg is 22 feet, and if you're 6 feet or 3 feet off the ground, you're running it like this, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to work. So,
but
it's just those things that we all hams get out in the field and do stuff like this. Is one of those things that you learn.
You know what? And it speaks volumes that you have visibility into that. I mean, you take that into consideration when you build your stuff, Tim.
Oh yeah, try.
Yep, you certainly do. A hell of a job, guys. There's so let me just share something else with you here. So I grab this window, and here we go. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking last year was just killer. It was brutally hot, right? Really hot, like all throughout Eastern North America. And yeah, I'm in Canada, but man, oh man, it was baking. It was humid. You know, I went out at one point, field day last year, 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm absolutely soaked. I went to the campsite shower. I showered off, put a fresh shirt on, got back into the radio room. 20 minutes later, I'm completely soaked again. And it's like, yeah, I remember Chris, you mentioned on one of our streams earlier about having a camp fan, and that made a difference for you. So I'm gonna go take a look for a camp fan.
Yeah. It's a little USB chargeable thing, and yeah, they're great.
If you want to go crazy, just you can go on Amazon and get a 12-volt fan, right? A decent sized one that'll move some air for you, you know, and
run it off your battery.
Go like that. Yeah, it comes with alligator clips.
Yeah. So I bought one of these after looking up fans.
Oh, sweet.
Oh man, you got one of those things. Wow.
So I do a search on camping fan, and I don't know why, but this thing showed up. This is a company called Gazelle. Yep. They're out of Wisconsin. Now, don't let that fool you. It's made in China. But Princess Auto, I mentioned them earlier. They're a potential source for military stacking poles here in Canada. They had a sale on these. They're having a sale on these.
So sweet. Like what, $99?
No. Regular, and this is Canadian peso we're talking here. Regular $400 on for $260.
Well, that's a good deal.
These things, now you're going to think I'm exaggerating when I tell you this, and I don't pull the trigger lightly. The $500 that I took down to date, and I ended up, okay, I'm gonna use it for this. This thing goes up in 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Now, and that's if you're slow. I've seen videos where guys have put it up in 90 seconds.
It looks like it's got those supports in there. So what do you just press on those?
It's a hub. It's kind of like an ice fishing shelter. And I've been looking for one of these for a while, because the two shelters that I used last year, for example, I had Eureka No Bug Zone, which was a screen house. And let me tell you, there was video from my last year's field day that I did not put in the video. I was upset. I was hot. I was tired. I was upset because I was putting the damn thing up by myself. And right at the corner where this thing had an external frame, where there's an angle in the aluminum, it bent. So rather than being like this, it went like this, and it's like, I was beside myself, and the camera's rolling, and it's like, I turned around and said, I will never recommend this product. Cheap Chinese crap. Anyway, that didn't make it to the final one, but that took me an hour to set up. And by the way, how did I get it set up? If that happened, I took a tent peg. I bent the tent peg. I then duct taped the tent peg up to where the angle should have been, and just duct taped the out of it to jury rig it so that the shelter would stand up, and it worked. But that an hour to set that damn thing up. This goes up in a few minutes. Well, that buys me some additional time. And if it's, as the weather forecast seems to indicate, it's going to be another ridiculously hot weekend. An hour spent putting up a shelter versus an hour spent putting up an antenna, or half an hour, 45 minutes spent putting up an antenna or something else, is time well spent. It's an opportunity for me, because what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get to the campsite by 10 o'clock in the morning. Normally, Ontario Parks does not let you have access to the site until 2 o'clock. But if nobody has the campsite the night before, and by the way, as of tonight, nobody has the campsite as of the night before, then you can go in early. And that's what I like to do. I get there at 10 o'clock and I start setting up. And it takes me an hour for my sleeping tent. That's just how long. It's one guy putting up tent. If you have two guys, you can get it done in 20 minutes. But when it's yourself, it takes longer. So I figured this is going to take me a lot less time to set up. It's going to be a little bit easier on an old guy trying to do what he wants to do. Just pop, run some cords from the upper corners. There's cords to peg it down, because these things will act like tumbleweeds if there's strong wind.
Are you going solo?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's just the three of us, me, myself, and I.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe you bring the nephew or somebody. No? Okay.
It's not that I wouldn't want them to come, but there's no interest there. So it is what it is. It's like they don't want to sit around and do.
Well, there's no Wi-Fi, right? There's no Wi-Fi.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, there's no Wi-Fi.
It's over.
So I got this thing, and that's going to be a new addition for me. By the way, Ham Radio 2.0. I think Jason is his name. I don't think I've ever met him, but he did one. He's got this, but in a this is a 5-sided version. He's got the 6-sided, which is the big one. But it's twice the money. I'm not going to spend that. I don't need it. Like this
when you're a high roller like that, though, you know.
Well, you know, he is. Yeah, he absolutely highfalutin, right?
From Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
That's right.
All right. So there's my ad, and
so
and
I'm curious.
You'll
have to let me know. You know, when we first started camping, we were looking at getting a screen house, right? And we wanted to just get a cheap Coleman, which, you know, if it rains, forget it. It's useless, right? Yeah. But because the legs splay out like this. So, but it's good. Like, if you want to get away from bugs, it's fine. This one, when I was looking into them, people are saying that when the doors are closed on it, when the flaps are closed, the screening does not really let a whole lot of airflow through it. So I'd be curious to see how that is.
You're absolutely right. This is and you know, I do my research, Chris, and I was researching it. So this is where the camp fan is now going to become really important. Now what I did, and so they make the mesh so fine so that not even those no-see-um flies, those tiny little ones, can get through. Downside is that there's no airflow through it.
Right.
So I was watching one video where a couple took a fan, and right at the door, at the base of the door, they put a 12-inch fan down there, and they said it made all the difference in the world.
I'll bet. Okay. All right.
Putting it down there and then zipping up, you know, so the bugs can't get in. Now, this is not a buggy location. I didn't have any issue with bugs last year. It really is just about shelter from the sun, shelter from rain, potential rain. And by the way, they sell these. This is panels that go on the outside.
Yep.
If it's raining, I will be able to stay dry inside. So there you go. That's my new shelter, and I think I'll be able to find a good home for the other one that I've been using.
Yeah, that thing sets up. Like one of the first camping trips we went on, it was a couple in a site right next to us. They popped one of those things out in minutes. They had it all set up, ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other thoughts on field day, guys, before we move on? I've got a couple of other things that I want to. Oh my gosh, look at the time. Holy cow. Anything else on field day before we move on? I've got a couple other things that I wanted to touch on. Okay, we're good, Tim?
All
right, let's take a look. I got some messages from the field. Here's okay, hang on a sec here. Rob says, I just want to take a look at what Rob's. He does mine in the day, does his in the day use area. Means tearing down and set up twice, but you can now book day passes in advance, so I can get in very early on Sunday morning. Okay. And he'll be thinking about me when he's operating his enclosed trailer. Rob, you don't have an air conditioning in there, do you?
A combo van, doesn't he?
Like that's I don't remember there being any air conditioning.
Yeah, it's a hot box practically. Isn't it?
And just the one side down. Ooh, yeah, nasty. Okay, so speaking of Rob, so Rob was telling me a little bit about his field day plans, running 2 stations at Inver Huron Provincial Park. That's right on the shore of Lake Huron, the eastern shore of Lake Huron. 2 alpha set up on a generator and battery power. Station 1 will be as Kenwood TS850 on a linked dipole.
I sure wish you'd use the Yaesu
4020. Yeah. Station 2 will be his son Justin VA3 AQZ with his Yaesu FT890 at low power on a fan vertical. Cool. A fan vertical. That's interesting. Probably 10, 15, and 20 meters running FT8. All right. On the remote at home will be Jules F4 IEY from France, who also has his Canadian Advanced VA3 IEY, so he can operate the remote on his own. He is a youth operator and is proficient in CW, so we'll be operating CQ only as 1 Delta. Hopefully all bands 10 through 160. Okay. And so Rob and I, we're working back and forth. I gave Rob my phone number. He's going to try to reach out to me. Cell service is spotty. We might be able to make the contact prior to the event kicking off. All right. Thanks for the report.
That's
there,
interesting. Rob. You know what? I wonder when you've got that thing, it's something I would have mentioned to Philip, but I forgot about it. But when you guys get that up and running in the 80 meter configuration, I'd be really curious to see if it would tune 160.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah, because I know that my 80 meter OCF that the big boy that I use is just, I don't advertise it, but it tunes 160. I can work digital on 160 with that thing.
Wow. Do you think it would work with the internal tuner on the 710? Or I have an external wide ranging tuner that I can use.
We'll find out.
Okay,
There's
I'll
no
do that.
reason why it shouldn't.
Yep. Okay, let's find out.
Unless it's just too low,
Yeah. All right, that'll be an interesting test.
Yeah, the only thing
I'll include that in my video as well. Okay,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, it will be.
I got a buddy too who's like, I gotta do this. I'm gonna work 160. I'm gonna get I need a dinner for 160. So I pointed him in the direction of that sloper, right? We talked about before, the eBay sloper, and it's like, I gotta work 160. Okay, so you have a ham radio bug to work 160. I know, I've been there before, but you're not gonna go and set up a whole thing for 160 because you're gonna be there by yourself. Okay,
yeah,
there's gonna be. You can do some digital, you can do a little bit of CW, but if you're going to call CQ on 160, prepare for a long night.
Yep,
that's all I can tell you, and do it in February.
Right. Okay, Rob's just correcting something that I mentioned earlier, and that's he'll run CW only, not CQ. Okay, cool. All right, Dennis, N2NCL. I did a video a while back on ham sticks. And he mentioned he used a spring between his roof mag mount, 1/4 wave base loaded CB antenna between the roof racks to prevent damage, and that spring noticeably lowered the resonant frequency of the antenna. Did not know at the time about inductors and electrically lengthened antennas. When you added that spring between the mag mount and the ham stick, the frequency dropped 1 megahertz. Yes, it did. Could that spring be acting as an inductor and electrically lengthening the antenna? Now, I think that's a really good question, but I want to tell you, one time when I felt like I had some extra energy, I took one of those springs. It was not easy to do, but I bent it so that you could actually see in between the coils. And there is braided wire that goes from the bottom right on up to the top. So it's almost like the coil is
shorted,
a physical attribute only. It's acting as a spring where the actual conductor is going up the center.
That's correct.
So I'm suspecting there would be very minimal interaction between the coil itself and the antenna. Thoughts, guys?
No, listen, CB operators have used that spring for years. So, I can see how you're putting something in line with the vertical, right? So you're making the antenna longer either way. You're right. So 3 or 4 inches. I don't know. Tim, you'd probably know better.
What you put in there is going to interact with the field. If you've got some kind of metal object, you're going to see some kind of interference with it.
Yeah,
I suspect it lowered the resonant frequency, like you said. It probably introduced some losses in there too.
Right. Yeah, he said that. I went down. Yeah.
Now he goes on to say he recalls reading an article where a Canadian ham made a coil from solid copper wire with a T connector installed at base of ham sticks with great results, creating very wide bandwidth.
Hang on. With a coil. Yes, I did the same thing on my 40-meter ham stick that I have in my truck. It's called a, oh, come on, Tim, you know, shunt. Is it a shunt coil? And it goes, it's, I put a T connector at the base and I put this coil. And I learned that from VA6AB, I think is the guy. It's all about mobile HF. This guy's got an incredible channel with unbelievable information on it. And he has one of those on there. And it's like, I think 11 or 12 turns, like the width of a broom handle. And just put it right across. And I'll tell you what it did was it certainly made the antenna a little more resonant and opened up its bandwidth a little bit. You know, 40-meter ham stick is like really narrow, but it opened it up just a little bit more, made a world of difference. So,
but it's not free.
Hmm?
It's not free. It has to be paid for, and you pay for it with loss.
Perhaps I haven't noticed a problem when
No, you probably wouldn't. You just have to know that it's there.
Yeah,
you're not going to be as efficient as you would normally.
It could be, but I put it on there, and it also made a difference with the with the resonance with the radio. Like I could, you can move the stinger and adjust it to get it in tune, resonant. But when I got it as resonant as I could moving that, and it was still a little high on the SWR, I put that coil on it and put it right down, and it opened up the bandwidth a little bit. I said, well, all right, worked.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out, guys. N0HR. I've rounded up a group of CW ops who haven't done field day. One is a 22-year-old contester who can run at 70 words per minute.
Oh, jeez.
He's rented a renovated barn and will have 2 flex radios, a buddy hex, and a 2-element array for 40.
Wow.
What a station. That sounds like a lot of fun.
70 words a minute. Jeez.
Can you imagine? Oh no, ready. I can't imagine.
It's ready. Right. That's what it is.
Ready. Yeah.
I'll try to remember and look for you.
Who's he going to talk to? He's going to copy that fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you won't be talking to me because I won't be on CW.
You can do 70 words a minute. That's great. I can only translate 15 or 20. So okay. I guess half of it's what CQ, Roger. Right, 5F or whatever it is. Thank you, 7-3. Right? You just be guessing. I would.
Okay, guys, I have one thing left. A couple things left. What do we got here? Okay, no, that's just a duplicate. So some of you may be familiar with this, and I've already mentioned it here tonight. My SGC 2020. I really like this radio. I blame Tim for it, but really I can only blame myself, Tim. Yeah, there it is. It's just such a fun rig. It's a throwback to a simpler time, and but unique. Man, does it work.
And it's unique.
Sorry?
There's one out there right now, and it's yours.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I keep hearing from guys who have one. Now, mind you, I hear a lot more from guys who say they sold it and they wish they never did. Yeah. But check this out, guys. I think you're going to love this as much as I did. I got an email. Hey, Tracy, this afternoon I happened to see your YouTube video showing the merits of the SG 2020. A very good video. The rig you found at the Dayton Hamvention just may have been my old rig. I purchased an SG 2020 new, possibly in the late 1990s, along with an SG 237 tuner. I added a Shure hand mic to replace the original. Another thing that makes me think it might have been mine at one time is the blue colored splices used on the 12 volt. And give me a sec here, guys, because I'm going to share, present, stop screen and present, share screen. All right, where am I? See if I can show you. So this thing does have. Oh, wait a minute. This is the one right here. Let's go with this. This. Oh, not that one. SG. I got to.
That'll teach you to monetize your channel.
That'll learn me, won't it? All right. Stop screen and present and share screen. Here we go. Window. Share. Here's what he's talking about right here. those blue splices on the power cord. Okay.
Wow.
So let me continue reading here. Blue colored splices used on the 12-volt connector, although that's been replaced as my original type of connectors were molded rubber of the type that were the automotive type. I sold the rig several years ago on eBay. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, I saw the rig pop up on QRZ from possibly the same person, but living in New York State. I bought it from a doctor from New York while at Dayton, who was selling it for a friend of his. But anyway, that was a great rig. I took it on dozens and dozens of camping trips. My wife and I had a pop-up camper on our pickup, and it went all over the state from Homer to Juneau. This is Alaska.
Wow.
And also through Canada to Whitehorse and to Skagway and Haines. The antenna I always used was a 60-foot or so length of 14-gauge THHN wire supported or flung up into a tree and an equal length laid on the ground below it. It tuned up great.
My kind of guy.
Sorry?
It's my kind of guy.
Absolutely, right? Occasionally, I tied both together to make a delta loop. Sounds like Philip's kind of guy. It's nice operating way out in the sticks. The noise is so low. Anyway, I made hundreds of contacts, both CW and SSB with the little rig, and loved every minute of it. I'm very glad you like it and are using it a lot too. So now you know it's been used from one end of Canada to the other and into Alaska. Oh, one more thing. I did send it in to have it serviced once when it was under warranty. I received a notice that they would replace the noise reduction board for no charge, just pay shipping. They had a newer version. So it does have the second generation ADSP board in it. They sent the original back, however, it's long been misplaced. All the best to you and happy camping. 7-3 from Bob Norgard, KL7 FM in Anchorage, Alaska.
Wow. That's awesome.
Isn't that fantastic?
That's great.
I just love that. So Bob, I apologize. I haven't responded to your email. You sent it to me weeks ago. I am going to respond to you very nicely. I'll let you know that this is up here. Wow, that is so cool. Guys, that's it. We're holy cow, look at the time. I don't have anything left in the tank, so to speak. Anything we want to chat about before we pull the plug on this one?
I'm good.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing
I'm installing Vera on my.
Sorry?
I had some time to install Vera. Radio email.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm playing with that. That's
fun,
cool. I think. If I can get it to work.
I'd like to hear you tell us about it once you get it going.
Yeah, I will. It just doesn't want to talk to the rig for some reason. But
okay.
I'll have to devote some time.
Well, let's.
And the Melfort Straight Key Ham Club.
Melfort, Saskatchewan. No, it's not Straight Key. Melfort SK is Saskatchewan.
Oh.
We'll be doing field day with a portable 50-foot tower this year. We have a beam antenna for the topper. Oh. Wow. John, that sounds fantastic. Okay. Rob says
SK can also stand for silent key, so let's not.
That's true. That is, yeah, it's all over. They got a whole bunch of things, don't they? Hey, 7-3 to Mike, K8MRD. Nice to have you along. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Chris, any last minute thoughts from yourself?
No, I'm looking forward to getting Tim's antenna up in the air and see if I can get some field day contacts on it.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir. So wait, when do we get together again? Are we setting the date now, or it'll be post field day, right?
Yeah, the next one's the ICOM guy, so we're
July something.
Yeah, it's going to be the fourth
week in July.
Thursday.
Yeah,
so just a heads up, it won't be the third Thursday next month. It'll be the fourth. We had to work with Ray's schedule. Ray from ICOM, Ray Novak is going to be joining us. That should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that one. Okay, Tim, sorry, final thoughts? Anything?
No. Happy field day.
Okay, yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, everybody. 7-3. Until next time, get out of the shack, get outdoors, and get on the air. And happy field day. Absolutely. Bye now.